Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be working on the Avalon again. This is my new daily driver and it's in very poor exterior cosmetic condition. So what we're going to be doing today is buff these headlights. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sand it all down, get rid of this clear coat or what's left of it, and I'm going to redo it in new 2K clear. That way it's nice and shiny again and it's going to last. So stay tuned. So as you can see here, this is a 2014 and this is about 9 years worth of neglect from my father-in-law and parking it outside in the Florida sun. He never really took care of these headlights. I think I've buffed them a few times when he was over and I've ceramic coated them, but the Florida sun just kills these things, as you can see. So it's basically lost all clear coat on here and it's starting to actually craze a little bit right here on the edge. But I'm just gonna go ahead and sand this all down from like a 400 grit all the way up to 8 or 1000, and then after that I'm gonna go ahead and prep it for 2K clear. That way I'm hoping we get it all clear again and we can still use these headlights for a couple more years so I don't have to replace them. So to actually paint these headlights, I need to take apart the bumper and remove the headlights. So to take apart this bumper, you basically have to take apart the clips over here on the side. There's a screw up here in the fender lining, I believe, and then a bunch of 10 millimeters underneath that hold the whole lower panel on, and the clips across the top here. And once you do that, you can go ahead and just pop the bumper off. To remove the bumper under the hood, you have to take apart this panel right here, and there's a few screws and clips underneath here that you have to take care of to take it off. As far as actually removing the headlight from the car, it's a very simple and it's very common for all Toyotas. There's a screw up here. I think there's a screw down here behind the bumper somewhere, and then one on the side here next to the fender once you take the bumper off. And those are usually the only 3 screws that hold the headlights in, other than the wiring and everything, and you can just pull the whole headlight out and work on it off the car if you wanted to. But for our purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the bumper, sand this thing down and everything while it's on the car so I have a rigid area to work with. Once it's all sanded down, ready to go, I'll go ahead and remove it, mask off everything I don't want painted, and we'll go ahead and clear coat it after that. Quick update on taking the bumper off. So down here you got this little clip right here. All you have to do is just turn it and then pop it out, and then you pull that peg out and it releases it. Up here is just a little Phillips plastic screw that goes into the little clip here, and that holds it. And that's really all that holds the side bumper, other than little compression clips right here that the bumper pushes into. There's really no screw up here like on the Lexus vehicles, so that's pretty easy there. I still have to do the bottom screws. I haven't done that yet. As far as the top goes, go ahead and take that whole cover off. If you didn't know, all those little push clips on there, all you do is push down on them and it releases it. Once it releases the tension, it just pops right out, and then you actually have to pull the peg out when it's off the car to push it back in. So those are pretty easy, and those are very common on Lexus vehicles. These 2 clips on either side of here were really brittle. It was a little center push clip that you press down and it releases. Once you do that, they actually break, so I'm gonna have to replace that with a new clip when I get this back together. This center one was easy to take off. These 2 side ones are very difficult. These are very specialty type clips I've never seen before. They actually have a little plunger and a plug that holds the top piece together, and if those break, you actually have to get new ones from the dealer because those are not common. So here's what that clip looks like. It has that little plunger up top there that goes into here, and it's part of that whole plunger part that plugs down to the bottom here. So the bottom piece is a common clip right there, but that plunger part is not common, and if you break that, you have to get it from the dealer, or you just have to do without this piece right here. All right, now that we got everything unbolted and everything's loose now, we'll go ahead and pop the side off. So it's very easy to pop the side off. Once you get all the clips out, just go ahead, just grab it and then just snap it out here on the side. Once we're inside, go ahead and unplug the turn signals right there on both sides, and then pull the whole bumper off. So that bumper came off pretty dang easy with all these clips and everything, much easier than Lexus vehicles. As far as the headlight goes, there's actually 4 screws on this headlight. There's 3 up top here, and then 1 on the side that's part of this bracket also, and then the whole headlight comes off. All right, so we're gonna measure the output before we actually do anything with these headlights or upgrade them. As you can see, the passenger side is a little bit lower than the driver's side, but cutoff is very blurry. It's very poor output with these halogens, so hopefully once we clean them up we can measure them again, and then also with the new LEDs that I'm going to be putting in. We'll go ahead and measure the side with the driver's beam. And this side's the passenger beam. This one should be a little bit higher just because it's the combination of the two, but it's about the same. So to start off with the sanding of these lenses, I'm going to do a 400 wet sand, then to a 600 wet sand, and up to an 800. I'll see how it looks with the 800. If it's good, I'm gonna stick with the 800 and we'll prep it for the clear coat. So after the first pass with the 400, you want to make sure everything is scuffed up. You want to make sure all the oxidation and all the crap that was on the surface of it is off, and get an even sanding, at least even on the underside and all the edges here and the top edge. Those are the spots that are going to be prone to lifting and peeling once we do the clear coat. So we want to make sure everything is nice and scuffed before we move on to the next step. All right, so we're up to 600 now. As you can see, the lines have gotten smaller as far as the sanding lines goes with the 600. So once we go to 800, it's gonna be much finer and it'll be a little bit clearer. When you're doing the 2K clear, you wanna kind of keep it around 600 anyways, just because it provides a better substrate for the clear to stick to. Because once this thing gets glossed up, it's going to be crystal clear if you spray it on right. But we'll go ahead and go all the way up to 800, see how it looks on 800, and then we're going to clear it. So this is what it looks like after 800. The lines got a little bit finer, a little bit clearer, but still that haze, which is perfect for our clear coat. So we'll go ahead and take this thing off, mask it up, and prep it for clear. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side off camera, and we'll go outside and 2K clear this baby. Passenger side is complete, nice and scuffed up. So everything looks good now on both sides. So we'll go ahead and take both these headlights off the car and get these all prepped up. All right, I was able to rinse these off with water, get all the dust off the housings and clean it up a little bit. What I'm gonna do next is wipe it down with this 91% alcohol. After that dries up, I'm gonna use this grease and wax remover from Clean Strip. Just clean it all up, let it all dry off, and then we'll take it outside and spray the 2K clear. For the 2K clear, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna spray a light layer as a tack coat, let that dry for 5 to 10 minutes and flash. After that, we're gonna put one good coat on here and then let it dry, and that's all you really need. All right, so we're using this Touch-Up Express 2K Clear. I've used this in the past for my dash and everything. So it's a 4-to-1 mix ratio. So if you don't know what you're doing, most of these cups and measuring things have the little indicators on the side. So if you're just doing 1 ounce, you could do 1 ounce, and then you want to put enough activator to hit the second line right there if you can't measure less. But that's a lot of clear right there, especially for headlights, so I might do a little bit less using some other cups. So right here we're mixing the clear, so we're gonna need 4 parts clear, 1 part hardener. As you can see, I'm just using these little measuring cups for my children's medicine to make my job easier here. So right now we're outside. As you can see, I gotta hook up the air and adjust all my settings on this gun. I use this gun once every couple months, so I don't know the exact settings every time I use it. So every time I go out and spray, I have to readjust the beam, readjust my air mixture so I can vaporize the air and material correctly so it sprays on. As you can see, as I'm spraying this, I made it too narrow. I should have made it a much wider beam with a little bit more vaporization with the air, so that way it sprays on wider and it covers more. As you can see, when I spray these little streaks, it leaves little streaks of clear thicker than the rest. All right, we got the first coat on, just a light tack coat just to let it thick, and then we're gonna put it on a nice wet coat after this to make sure we get enough clear on here. If we get imperfections, we might end up having to buff this out with some 2000 grit just to make it nice and shiny. So right now we're spraying on the second coat. Again, like I said earlier, I should have made the beam wider on this so it sprays more coverage as I spray. As you can see, I'm spraying it and it's leaving kind of streaks of thin and thick material. This is what causes the orange peel. Additionally, I should have used the slow hardener, especially on this hot, humid day in Florida. That way the clear flows out better and doesn't dry as quick, leaving all the orange peel and streaks. But as we spray, we want to make sure we get good coverage, especially on the edges and the top. Once I finished spraying the front of it and I got good coverage, I went ahead and tilted it down so I could spray the top and get much better coverage and even coverage there, so it all blends together and it bonds and it doesn't peel from the edges. Turned out a little bit more hazy and orange peely than I liked. I might just do one more coat on here just to make sure I can even it out, or at least sand it down so I still have plenty of clear coat left after I sand and buff it. So it's a hot and humid day here in Florida, and I had to bring it inside and turn on the air conditioning in the garage to let it cure. So on that last third coat I did a slow hardener. The first 2 coats I did a medium speed hardener. So the slow hardener is gonna let it flow out a little bit longer. It's gonna take longer to dry and cure, but at least it will flow out better. As you can see, there's a bunch of orange peel and everything in this light. This light was a little bit smoother, but both of them are still not perfect. So I'll let this cure for a couple days, and then I'm gonna go ahead and wet sand it from 1500 to 2000 and buff it out and see how good it is. As you can see, some of that crazing and that imperfections in the lens from this being 9 years old in the Florida sun, now you can see it through the clear. Some of this haze is actually fogging inside right now. I'm letting that dry out with the bulbs out. Up here there was some crazing in this spot right here that you can still see through the clear coat once I buff it out. I'll go ahead, let this dry for a day or so, put it back on the car, and At the end of this video, we'll go ahead and test out the new Novsight bulbs that we got here. So our friends over at Novsight sent us 2 sets of 9005s, which the Avalon uses in both the high beam and the low beam. They sent us the good high-end versions right here for the low beams. And I asked them to send us another set for the high beams and the daytime running lights. Hopefully this thing doesn't flicker with the daytime running lights, but we'll go ahead and test that out. As well as once we put it in there, we'll compare the output of this against the halogens with the foggy lens, the halogens with the clear lens, and these brand new ones. Inside the box of the more high-end versions, you've got the bulb, you've got the separate driver right here and the plug, and they also send you a nice jet tag if you want to use this for your keychain or anything. Aside from that, it comes with some instructions and the other bulb there. As far as build quality goes, as you can see, it's got the 12,000 RPM fan on it like most LEDs do now. You can see the heat sink and the copper pipe inside that draws the heat back to the fan, so that's a nice quality. So these LEDs are 6 cobs on either side and looks very high quality build, all aluminum body. So these are the N57 models. They're 30,000 lumens per set, which means they're 15,000 lumens per bulb. And they're the second to the highest on their model line of the 9005s. The next highest one is 40,000 lumens, which is probably way overkill for what we need in these cars. So these things are 140 watts total, so basically 70 watts each, which is about 15 watts more than the OEM. But luckily with the fan and everything, it should be able to keep it cool, and the separate driver right there where the heat's gonna be. So for the high beams, we're gonna be using these. This is their N30 version. These are the more basic ones. These are 13,000 lumens for the set, which means they're 6,500 lumens each with a combined wattage of 55 watts. So it's basically half the watts of the OEM. And these are your more basic plug and play ones. The LED on them, there's 3 standard LEDs on either side of the bulb versus the 6 per side cob on the more high-end ones. So these are very basic ones. These are only 20 something dollars versus 50 or 60 dollars for that set over there. So they're very basics, which is perfect for a DRL and a high beam. As far as what comes in the box, this also comes with a yellow jet tag right here. It comes with this stick on kind of thing. It's more of a free gift that came in the box. I don't know where I'm going to use that. And other than that, it's just the 2 bulbs. These are basically plug and play, single with a fan built in, all aluminum, very basic construction. So if you need any of these bulbs, go ahead and check out the links down in the description. I'll link to their site as well as the direct link to Amazon to order these if you need to. So I've given this about 2 days to dry and cure. The passenger side one has much more orange peel than the driver's side, so I'm gonna go ahead wet sand this 1000, 1500, 2000 before I polish it. This side is a little bit better, still pretty orange peely, but not as bad as that other side, so this one won't need as much work. So we'll go ahead and wet sand with all this right here and then buff it out. So we went through 3 steps there and we pretty much got all the peel out of it. So now it's good enough to go buff. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side and we'll finish up with some compound and some polish and see how this thing looks. Once you're done sanding, you can see where the raised and lowered parts are. I didn't want to take it too much. I use that as a gauge to see how much material I take off. Once I buff it, you won't be able to see much of that anyways once it's all shiny. I'm gonna do a 3-stage compounding, polishing, and then micro polishing using this Perfected from 3M. So I'm using this rotary buffer right here with the Lake County 2-inch pad. This should cut it pretty quick. That's just one round of polish right there with the compound. You can see it's already crystal clear, much better than what we started off with. Even after we painted it, we still have a little bit of peel up here, but I'm not gonna worry about that. I might hit that later when I'm actually doing paint correction on the car, but the front of this is nice and clean and smooth now. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the other side, and then we'll go on to the next step after that. Oh yeah, after 3 steps of polishing, cleaning it with the wax and grease remover from Prep All, and then some quick detailer just to clean it up and wipe it. Everything is nice and clean now. These things are going to be protected for another couple of years with this UV, especially here in Florida here with the new Clearcoat, and we're going to be pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and test the new output and then test the LED bulbs and see how much brighter they are. It's hard to capture it on camera, but it's noticeably brighter already just with the clear lenses. As you can see, we still have the bottom over here that's lower than the rest. Once I put the LED in, I'll just go ahead and readjust it to be level. Yeah, already it's already like twice the output or more of what we had before. Go ahead and measure the inside spot on the other step. All right, we'll go ahead and put the new Novsights in and see how they look. Yeah, this thing is noticeably brighter. It's much whiter now. You can't really tell on camera, but I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the driver's side down. It looks like it's too high and it's gonna blind people. The passenger side is actually right where it needs to be. So to adjust the headlight, there's a screw on here. There's one screw right down there, and you can use a 10mm or a long screwdriver. I'm gonna go ahead and just use a 10mm. Just get it into here. And you just wanna turn it and then watch where the direction goes. So to adjust it down, we just go clockwise on here. So just turn it clockwise. So they're both right at even now. So I'll leave it there and I'll see how they look on the road when I drive around. Okay, so for output of the LEDs, we're gonna go ahead and start right there at the cutoff. And then, yeah, that thing is, we're at 500. This thing's blowing the GX out of the water right now, I think. Down to 380 at the bottom. We'll go measure this side. Is the passenger side. This. Oh yeah, the front looks really good. I might have to do something about those parking lights now being orange and incandescent. I might have to convert those to LED white also with a switchback turn signal, but right now with the fog lights and everything, this thing looks bad as hell. So we got the LED fog lights, everything matches nicely on this thing. Yeah, the whole front end looks totally new, and the only problem we have is the LED flicker on the DRLs. I've already contacted Novsight, see if they got a solution. I think they have a canceller that I'm gonna ask them to send me to correct this. The DRLs really do look nice in the LED, especially down the road. Hey guys, thanks for joining me on this long video on restoring those headlights on the Avalon. As you can see, it takes a lot of work, but if you do all the prep correctly, put the 2K clear on it, polish it up, and do everything you need to do, it turns out really good, even if the headlights are way far gone. I want to thank Novsight for sending me those bulbs to install in there. As you can see, it's a really great compliment for the Avalon, especially if you have the halogen versions. It modernizes the car, makes it look newer, and it increases the output on the the road, and it performs just like halogens without blinding people too much. If you guys need the same Novsight bulbs, go ahead and check out the links down in the description. Also check out the links if you guys need any of the stuff I use, whether it's the clear, the polishing pads, or whatever I'm using. Go ahead and check out those links down in the description. If you guys found this video useful, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn on bell notifications to get notified every time I upload a video. For all these different DIY projects in the garage, if I can do it, you guys can do it. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.